I entered the Wannayam Game Jam, hosted by Manisha Wannabe and Sam Yam, and made what I consider to be one of my best games ever. But what did everyone else think? Stick around to find out.
I'm Xanderwood. I make indie games and tutorials on game development. I also play your indie games every week on my channel. Make sure you subscribe and click that bell icon so you never miss a video.
For those of you with short attention spans, here's what I'm about to cover. I've even timestamped the video for you. Yes, I go the extra mile. I'll be sharing my first idea on the game for this jam, how I made the core mechanics of the game, how I made a boss fight, what you guys thought of my game, and finally, the valuable lesson I learned taking part in this game jam. So grab a drink, sit back, but first, and before I continue with the video, just a massive thank you and a shout out to my wonderful Patreon and YouTube channel members: Foozle CC, Matt, Retro Galaxy, Amari Lewis, Livia, Bernie, Lighting Cat, Nikki Harbour, Rob, Julian Cruz, Van Van, Tor Alexanderson, Charcoal, Mark Games, Martin K, Seth Coble, Jonathan Turner, and Jared Dumont. For more information about what's on offer on the Patreon, there's a link in the description. The theme for the jam was combination, which instantly made me think of crafting. I'd never made anything remotely like a crafting system in Construct 3 before, and this seemed like the perfect opportunity to get my feet wet. Spoiler alert, what you're about to witness may be quite underwhelming. The crafting system I created, well, you'll see for yourself. My first idea was to create a type of alchemy game, where you drag elements together to make new elements. I even spent some time googling alchemy. The more I googled, the more I realized that this type of crafting system will get complicated fast. Plus, after combining earth and water to make mud, I was pretty much out of ideas. So I put the idea to one side and went back to the drawing board. In a previous jam, I'd created a bubble-bursting Pang-like clone, which I liked. However, as I'm much older and wiser since then, I thought I might be able to make improvements on it. I made a hookshot mechanic using a single 1-pixel sprite, which I pinned to the head of the hookshot. I set the width of the sprite to equal the distance between the hookshot head and the player every tick, and assign the bullet behavior to the head of the hookshot. This meant the hookshot rope would instantly increase in length the further away the hookshot head got. I added the warp object effect, tweaking the frequency and amplitude until it looked like a coiling rope. I made a sprite for the pickups and set each frame to a different material. I set the starting frame to be random when created and based on the frame of the sprite. When the player collides with it, you'd receive different materials of that item type. For the crafting system, I simply set a bunch of variables to track how much of each item the player had. I set conditions that only let the player purchase an upgrade if they had the minimum number of each item. I used more global variables to track how many new items the player had and set another condition that lets the player only use them if they have that item in stock. For the bridge, I set the items required much higher, which in hindsight may have been too high. I didn't want to create a situation where the player had to grind levels again and again, which I may have inadvertently done. Oops. I used events from my level unlocking tutorial to create the world map stages. Go check out that video if you want to know how that works. Then it was time to create a boss. Bosses require state machines to function. They have a variety of different attacks and moves that can play out, from taking damage to changing movement patterns and attacks. If you want to know more about creating a boss fight in Construct 3, you're in luck. I made a tutorial on it, all the links are in the description. For this boss, I give it 3 states. Perched at the top, shooting bubbles and bullets, which only lasts for a few seconds. A flying state, which the boss can create bubbles, shoot bullets, and move directly to the player in a kind of dash attack. And finally, a shield state. If the health of the boss reaches a certain level, he can activate a shield, making him invincible for a short period of time. Fair warning, this boss is hard. Possibly my hardest boss to date. And I made a game that's just boss fights. Link to the devlog is in the description. Yes, go binge my content. Watching others play your game is about a bazillion times more useful to a dev than comments. Watching Sam Yam play without realizing there is a hookshot, despite the title of the game being called Hookshot Hero and it being clearly written on the how to play screen, tells me that I need to simplify. There is too much information to take in and some of it just gets missed. It's not enough to simply write down what you need to do. I've learned that I need a tutorial level to explain the basics, like what I did in my game Ascending Air, where the first 3 levels were teaching the mechanics one by one. With that said, that game was a bit hard too. I like to think I'm slowly getting better at game balancing. Back to the project at hand, I uploaded the finished project to itch, made a cup of coffee, and waited for the comments to roll in. What I got from the comments section was that overall the game looked nice, sounded great, but was a little overwhelming at first. People did mention that once they got the gist of it, it was fun. But I think this tallies up nicely with the data that I got watching Sam Yam struggle to understand how to play.
Select items, combine items, use items, Q and E. What's going on here? Oh, I guess you can make stuff. Oh, it's like a little protection, but now I can't get out. Oh my god, you know what this reminds me of? Oh, shoot. Oh, a bomb? I don't want a bomb.
The takeaway message for me is that no matter how simple you think your game is, it needs to be simpler. Don't assume people will automatically grasp what they need to do because you've made a how to play screen. Now go check out these other great videos on how I made other really difficult games. And until then, I'll see you in the next video.